If you love hack and slash games, you know there are a ton to choose from, but which ones are actually worth your money? Today, I'm sharing some of the best hack and slash games that you seriously won't regret buying in 2025. Trust me, these games are gonna give you hours of fun. So let's check them out. Lollipop Chainsaw. And this one's just straight up wild. Like, you can't even explain this game without sounding like you made it up. You're a cheerleader with a chainsaw, fighting zombies while your decapitated boyfriend's head hangs off your hip and talks trash the whole time. And somehow, it works. It just works. This is one of those hack and slash games that doesn't care about being serious. It leans fully into the chaos, the humor, the weirdness, but underneath all that goofy surface stuff is a solid fun combat system. You've got pom-pom light attacks, chainsaw heavy hits, combos that juggle enemies, dodge moves. It's all fast, tight, and satisfying. Once you start chaining attacks and blasting through a whole group of zombies while fireworks and rainbows explode, it's pure madness. Now the boss fights here are total highlights. Each one is themed around a different music genre. You've got a punk rocker, a dubstep demon, a twisted hippie, all super creative, loud, and totally unhinged. They mix up the gameplay and really show off the game's style. Yeah, it's not the deepest or longest game. You're here for the vibes, the action, and the absurdity, and honestly, it's a blast. One of those games that knows exactly what it is and doesn't try to be anything else. Asura's Wrath. It's not even just a hack and slash, it's like an anime boss fight simulator cranked to 11. This game doesn't care about being normal, it's here to scream in your face, punch gods into the moon, and ask you to mash buttons during the most ridiculous cutscenes you've ever seen. You play as Asura, this rage-filled demigod who's been betrayed by his fellow god buddies. They frame him, steal his daughter, leave him for dead, and from that moment on, it's just pure, unfiltered revenge mode. He's not here to talk, he's here to break stuff, and I mean really break stuff. Planets, giant statues, divine beings the size of countries, no one's safe. Combat is fast and clean, it's got that hack and slash core, light and heavy attacks, dodging, launching enemies into the air, but it's not trying to be super deep or technical. Instead, it mixes that action with tons of QTEs, quick time events during cutscenes. Normally that might sound annoying, but here it works because the cutscenes are where most of the insane action happens. You're literally punching a dude so hard, his finger cracks the planet, and you're in control during those moments. It makes you feel the rage. What really sells it is the presentation. The whole thing is laid out like an anime series. There are intros, cliffhangers, credits between episodes. It's got this whole dramatic, over-the-top vibe that's totally unique. The music is huge and epic, the voice acting is intense, and visually it still holds up. The art style is bold and full of energy. Now, yeah, it's more of a cinematic experience than a pure gameplay-heavy game. You're here for the ride. It's not about grinding or customizing loadouts. It's about watching Asura get angrier and angrier until he's fighting 6-armed space gods while screaming his lungs out. The Godfall. Now listen, this game kinda got clowned on when it launched, not gonna lie. People called it a looter slasher and went in with Destiny expectations. But if you drop all that noise and just look at it for what it actually is, a pure, flashy, third-person hack and slash with loot and sick armor, it's honestly a fun time. What makes Godfall stand out is the feel of the combat. It's chunky, weighty, and super punchy. Every swing of the sword or hammer feels like it lands with force. You're not mashing buttons like crazy, you're timing attacks, dodging, parrying, and doing these clean combos that make you feel like a total beast. There's a rhythm to it, and once it clicks, it's smooth. You've got different Valor plates, basically badass armor suits, each with their own stats and elemental powers, kind of like if Warfrans were knights. They look awesome, and part of the fun is unlocking new ones and figuring out which fits your style. Plus, the loot system gives you new weapons and upgrades constantly, so you're always tweaking your build and leveling. Visually, the game's a straight up eye candy fest. Bright worlds, crazy lighting, shiny armor, all of it looks clean as hell. It's not dark or gritty, it's more like a fantasy fashion show where everything explodes, which honestly, kinda refreshing. The story, it's whatever. Very basic, save the world from your evil brother stuff. But Godfall ain't really about the story, it's about wrecking enemies in style, farming gear, and feeling like a shiny armored god while doing it. No More Heroes. No More Heroes is a third-person hack and slash game where you play as a guy named Travis Touchdown. He's not some chosen one or big hero, he's just a regular dude who watches anime, loves pro wrestling, and lives in a tiny motel room. One day, he wins a beam katana, kinda like a lightsaber, in an online auction. Then he decides to become the #1 assassin in the world. That's pretty much how the whole thing kicks off. The gameplay is all about fast, stylish sword combat. You've got light and heavy attacks, you can dodge, block, and even pull off wrestling moves like suplexes and power bombs. Every time you finish off an enemy, Travis does a flashy final move with his sword, and it just feels satisfying. The fights aren't super complex, but they're quick, fun, and full of energy. It's not about being super technical, it's about keeping the pace up and making you feel cool while doing it. What really makes the game fun is the boss fights. To move up the assassin rankings, you have to fight a new boss each time, and every one of them is weird in their own way. One uses a giant baseball bat, another's a ninja, another is a school teacher with a katana. Each fight feels different, and every boss has their own story and crazy design. It's the kind of stuff that keeps you curious about what's next.
Nothing's more gratifying.
You will pay with your life! Sonic Sword!
Don't die on me too quickly. I want to gorge myself.
Bayonetta 3. This one's loud, fast, flashy as hell, and just pure chaos. If you've played the earlier games, you already know the deal, but if not, don't worry. This is one of those hack and slash games where you can just jump in, start pressing buttons, and you'll be doing wild combos and dodging like a pro in no time. What's cool about this one is the new stuff they threw in. You can now summon these massive demons mid-fight and control them directly. So you're not just fighting alone anymore, you're bringing in huge creatures to help tear things up. It changes the flow in a good way. You're flipping between regular combat, summoning giant kaiju style monsters, and switching characters mid-mission. It's a lot, but it never feels confusing. There's also a new character named Viola, and she plays differently from Bayonetta. She's more aggressive, a little less smooth, but fun in her own way. The game kind of bounces between both of them, giving you variety without slowing things down. Code Vein. Code Vein is one of those games that kind of flew under the radar, but ended up being a pretty solid mix of anime style and Souls-like gameplay. People were calling it anime Dark Souls when it dropped, and honestly, that's not far off. But it also brings its own flavor. So here's the setup. You're in a post-apocalyptic world full of ruined cities, monsters, and a bunch of blood-themed stuff. You play as a revenant, basically a superpowered vampire who needs to drink blood to survive. Yeah, it sounds edgy, and it is, but in a cool stylized way that anime fans will definitely vibe with.
I'll take this bit. All right.
Combat is where it shines. It's slower and more methodical than your usual hack and slash. You gotta dodge, time your hits, watch your stamina. Kinda like a Souls game, but it's a bit more forgiving. You've got a partner system too, so you're not always going solo. Your AI buddy can actually help out in fights, heal you, distract enemies, stuff like that. It makes the game feel less punishing and more approachable if you're not deep into Souls-likes. Now, the blood code system is one of the coolest parts. It lets you switch your class and playstyle anytime. Wanna be a tank with a giant axe? Go for it. Prefer long-range magic? Swap to that. It gives you tons of flexibility without needing to start a new character or respec everything. Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 is one of those games that just gets it right. Like everything you'd want from a fast-paced, stylish hack and slash, it's all here. Not just good for fans, we're talking top-tier action that still feels fresh years later. First off, the combat is smooth as butter. You're not just mashing buttons, you're performing. The whole game is built around making you look cool while you fight, and when it clicks, man, it's addicting. You're juggling enemies in the air, swapping weapons mid-combo, zipping around the room like a pro, and the game actually scores you based on how stylish your moves are. It's not about just winning, it's about looking awesome while doing it. You've got 3 characters to switch between: Nero, V, and the OG himself, Dante. Each one plays completely different. Nero has this robotic arm thing that can shoot rockets and grab enemies, V summons shadow creatures to fight for him, and Dante, he's got like 20 weapons and styles you can swap on the fly. Each one is fun in its own way, and switching between them keeps the whole game feeling fresh. Visually, this thing still looks amazing. The RE engine makes everything super detailed, from the monsters to the slick leather jackets to the insane special effects, and the animation are clean as hell. You pull off a perfect combo and it just looks amazing. Scarlet Nexus. This Scarlet Nexus is one of those games that kind of came out of nowhere but turned out to be way more fun than people expected. It's got that flashy anime-style combat, cool powers, and a weird but interesting sci-fi world that actually pulls you in if you give it a shot. So here's the deal. It's a third-person hack-and-slash game with psychic powers layered on top. You don't just swing your weapon, you also throw cars, chunks of the ground, vending machines, whatever's nearby, straight into enemies using telekinesis. It's not just for show either. The way you mix your sword attacks with those crazy psychic slams, it feels awesome. You're flipping around, slicing, pausing for a second to launch a fridge at some alien creature, then jumping back in. Super smooth and satisfying. You get to pick between 2 characters, Yaito and Kasane. Each has their own story, combat style, and mission, so if you like the game, you can go through it twice and still see new stuff. Their stories connect, but they play differently. Yaito is more about close combat, while Kasane has faster, long-range slashes. And what makes the gameplay even better is the SAS system. It's basically like borrowing powers from your teammates. One buddy lets you use fire, another lets you slow down time, another lets you teleport, and you can stack these abilities together in the middle of a fight. So 1 second you're invisible, the next you're setting enemies on fire while teleporting behind them. It's wild, and it gives you tons of freedom in how you fight. Alright, quick thing before we continue the video. I let a random bot picker decide my mobile games. It chose Mech Arena as the main grind, and Legend of Elements and Legend of Mushroom as side games between matches. I wanted to see how fast you can start Mech Arena without cheating, and that's when I found the Aptoid version of the game, which I honestly didn't know had extra stuff. From the Aptoid version, you start with a 5-star Brickhouse mech, Impulse, the Xaviera pilot, Cryo Launcher 8, 500 HC, and 100,000 credits. That's not a small bonus. That's basically skipping weeks of early grind. And there's one more thing. If you install Mech Arena using the Aptoid link in my description and use my code MECH, you can get up to 25% cash back on in-game purchases through Aptoid. So if you already spend on the game, this just gives you money back. I'll leave the Aptoid link and code in the description and pinned comment. Just make sure it's the Aptoid version or you won't get the rewards. Alright, now let's see how broken this account actually is. Warriors Orochi 4. Warriors Orochi 4 is one of those games where the phrase hack and slash really means just destroy everything. Like, if you've ever wanted to mow down thousands of enemies in one mission while playing as a literal god with magic powers, yeah, this is that game. Though, here's the basic idea. It's a crossover between Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors, plus they throw in gods from Greek and Norse myth and a bunch of wild new characters. You end up with 170 plus playable fighters. You can play as generals, ninjas, gods like Zeus, and even people who throw magic magic books or lightning bolts. The combat is classic Musou style. You're on a battlefield surrounded by hundreds of enemies and you're just wrecking them with crazy combos. It's simple but super satisfying. Light and heavy attacks, launchers, specials, and now in Orochi 4 they added magic attacks that really crank things up. Every character gets a divine power that feels over the top. You're summoning dragons, dropping meteor showers, zapping fools with thunder. It's chaos and it's fun. You can also switch between 3 characters on the fly mid-mission. That keeps things from getting stale, like start a combo with one, switch to another to keep it going, and then finish it off with the third. There's a rhythm to it once you get into the flow. Now look, it's not some deep tactical game. The AI is kinda dumb, the maps can feel a little samey, and the story, well, it's kinda nonsense. Gods and warriors from different timelines teaming up and fighting because of some magical bracelets or something. But honestly, that's part of the charm. You're not here for a deep narrative, you're here to wipe out 300 enemies in one swing and feel like a god. Diablo 3. Diablo 3 might be labeled as an action RPG, but deep down, this thing is pure hack and slash heaven. It's not about puzzles, not about slow thinking, it's about jumping into the chaos, swinging your weapon, and turning hordes of demons into dust non-stop. This game doesn't slow down, it doesn't hold your hand, it just says, yo, here's a big ass sword, now go wreck stuff. From the moment you step into that first ruined town or cursed crypt, the feel of the combat takes over. Every class, barbarian, monk, demon hunter, wizard, you name it, has that tight responsive feel where every attack just lands hard. You're dodging, slashing, spinning, smashing the ground, firing off spells, all while surrounded by like 40 monsters. It's that arcade style hack and slash energy but with modern polish. You're not sneaking around or waiting for cooldowns like in some slow games. Nah, you're wiping out entire rooms in seconds. And the game wants you to go big. Every skill upgrade makes your moves louder, flashier, and deadlier. You dash into a fight, pop a few skills, and boom! The screen's filled with fire, ice, lightning, exploding corpses. Whatever you built your class around, it's mayhem, and it feels damn good. One of the best parts is how smooth everything flows. You can mix and match abilities whenever you want, so your playstyle never gets stale. You feel like you're building your own hack and slash machine, constantly tweaking it to hit harder, move faster, or just look cooler doing it. Tales of Arise. Now, this one's a mix of flashy anime vibes and some seriously fun hack and slash combat. If you're looking for a game where you can swing swords, cast huge spells, and combo your way through crazy boss fights, yeah, this one delivers. So, the combat, it's fast, it's smooth, and it feels damn good. You're not stuck in turn-based stuff like some older JRPGs. Now, this is real-time, in-your-face action. You press a button, you slash, you chain that into another move, then another, then launch the enemy into the air and hit them again before they even touch the ground. You can swap between party members mid-fight too, so you're not locked into one playstyle. Want to go full sword fighter with Alphen? Do it, or switch to Rinwell and just nuke fools with magic. Totally up to you. And those boost attacks and boost strikes, super satisfying. Every character has a special skill that can break enemy shields, interrupt spells, or just absolutely wreck bosses. And when you land a finisher with one of those epic team attacks, man, it's like watching a mini anime fight scene play out. The enemy variety keeps it fresh too. You're not just hacking through basic mobs, you're fighting giant monsters, armored brutes, and these godlike bosses that'll test your dodging skills. And once you start customizing your Ardis, that's what they call special moves, you can build your combos however you want. Go full air juggles, focus on elemental weakness, or just pick whatever feels badass. Metal Hellsinger. You're in hell, you're mad, you got demons to kill, but here's the twist. Everything you do, every swing, every shot, every dodge hits harder if you do it on the beat. And that beat, it's blasting pure metal in your ears with real vocals from metal legends like Serj Tankian, Matt Heafy, and more. So yeah, the soundtrack isn't just good, it goes hard. Now while the game is mostly a shooter on the surface, the rhythm and flow of the combat gives it the feel of a hack and slash in FPS form. You're still moving fast, chaining attacks, dashing, and destroying demons left and right. The difference is you're doing it all with timing. You're not just blasting wildly. You're syncing with the music, and when you get in that groove, dude, it's addictive. You've got a bunch of weapons, swords, dual pistols, shotguns, a skull that shoots fire, each with their own feel and timing. The sword especially hits that hack and slash itch. It's fast, aggressive, and super satisfying when you land those rhythm perfect slashes. The more you stay on beat, the more the music builds up. Start off with just drums, then add guitar, and when you're crushing it, boom, the vocals drop, and everything feels epic. It's like the game is cheering you on with full volume metal. The levels are short and focused, no fluff, just tight arenas, waves of enemies, and a boss at the end. You go in, tear it up, and bounce. Super replayable too, especially if you like chasing high scores or perfecting your runs. Dante's Inferno. This game is straight up fire, literally and figuratively. It's a dark, brutal, fast-paced hack and slash that throws you headfirst into hell and just says, good luck, buddy. You play as Dante, not the one from Devil May Cry. This guy's a crusader who's been through some messed up stuff. His soul gets dragged into hell and he's like, nah, I'm not done yet. So now you're slicing, stabbing, and tearing your way through the 9 circles of hell, trying to save your beloved while fighting off demons, monsters, and some of the freakiest bosses ever put in a game. Combat is clean and aggressive. You've got a giant scythe stolen straight from Death himself, and it feels good to swing. Light attacks, heavy attacks, launchers, crowd control, the usual hack and slash stuff, but done with style. There's also a holy cross you can use to blast enemies from a distance so you're not stuck only doing melee, and the upgrade system lets you go more holy or unholy depending on how you want to play. Want to play like a righteous paladin? Go for it. Want to be full dark and brutal? Also totally fine. The real star here though, the world design. Every level is a twisted version of some sin, lust, gluttony, greed, and they each have their own crazy vibe and enemies. One minute you're fighting giant gluttonous beasts, the next you're climbing a tower made of the damned. It's disturbing, over the top, and honestly still impressive even today. Some folks called it a God of War clone back then, and sure, the inspiration is clear, but Dante's Inferno brings its own edge. It's darker, more twisted, and way more brutal. It goes places most games wouldn't even touch. Onimusha Warlords. Man, Onimusha Warlords is one of those games that just hits different. It's from that early PS2 era where games were simple, focused, and honestly still fun as hell today. You play as this samurai dude named Samanosuke, and right from the jump you're thrown into this spooky, demon-filled castle trying to save a kidnapped princess. That's the setup. It ain't trying to be deep or complicated, it just wants you to dive in and start slicing up monsters. The combat is real solid. It's not super fast like newer games, but it feels tight and clean. You've got your sword and you time your strikes, block when you need to, and if you hit enemies at the perfect moment, you can do this instant kill move. Super satisfying. It's not about mashing buttons, it's more about timing and being sharp, and the more you play, the better it feels. As you go, you unlock special weapons that are tied to elements like lightning, fire, and wind. Each one has its own moves and looks cool when you land a full combo. The fire sword, for example, hits hard and has a little extra flair with each swing. It makes combat feel fresh, even though you're mostly fighting small groups or one-on-one. And yeah, the game's not super long, but it keeps the action moving, no filler, no bloat. One thing that makes this game stand out is the soul system. After you kill an enemy, their soul floats up and you hold the button to absorb it. That's how you power up your weapons, magic, and health, but you gotta be smart about it. If you're sucking up souls during a fight, you can't move, so you might get smacked if you're not paying attention. It adds a little bit of tension and it keeps you on your toes. Astral Chain. Now this one's honestly one of the most slept on action games out there. It dropped on the Switch, but don't let that fool you. This game goes hard, and it's still worth playing in 2025 if you're into fast, stylish hack and slash combat with a twist. So here's the deal. You play as a cop in a futuristic city that's under attack by weird alien things from another dimension. Sounds kinda out there, and yeah, it is, but it's also super cool once you get into it. The real hook is that you're not just fighting alone, you're linked to this living weapon called a Legion, and it fights right alongside you. Here's where the combat gets wild. You're controlling your character and the Legion at the same time. It sounds complicated, but it actually clicks pretty fast. You slash with your baton or sword, dodge around enemies, and meanwhile your Legion is out there doing its own thing. Attacking, holding enemies in place, or just going full beast mode. You can swing around enemies using the chain between you, trap them, launch them in the air, and it all feels super smooth once you get the rhythm down. Each Legion has its own style too. One's good for sword combos, one's a heavy brute, one's better for ranged fights, and the game lets you swap them mid-fight, so you're always mixing things up and looking stylish while doing it. It's not just hack and slash, it's hack and slash with control and style. You're managing two fighters at once, and when it works, it's just awesome. Darksiders II. This one's a real classic for anyone who loves a good old-fashioned hack and slash with some extra flavor thrown in. It's not just about mashing buttons, it's about exploring, upgrading, looting, and feeling like an unstoppable force of nature the whole time. You play as Death, yep, the Death, one of the four horsemen. And right from the start, you're faster, slicker, and way more agile than your brother War from the first game. You're flipping around, dodging attacks, chaining combos with dual sides, and just cutting through enemies like butter. The combat is fast, responsive, and feels damn good. You can even switch to heavier weapons like hammers and axes if you want slower, more brutal hits, so you can really play how you want. But what makes Darksiders II stand out is how much variety it packs in. You've got that clean hack and slash core, but there's also some solid RPG stuff here. Loot drops with different stats, skill trees, gear upgrades, and a bit of stat management. You're not stuck with the same moves or weapons the whole game, you're constantly finding new armor, trying out new builds, and customizing Death to fit your style. You want to focus on quick hits and dodging? You can. Prefer to go tanky and hit like a truck? Totally doable. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. This ain't like the other Metal Gear games. Forget sneaking around in cardboard boxes. This one's all about speed, aggression, and pure style. You play as Raiden, a cyber ninja who can slice through tanks, robots, helicopters, and basically anything else, like it's made of paper. And the way you fight, dude, it's smooth, flashy, and stupid fun. The swordplay is what makes this game stand out. You've got normal attacks, yeah, but then there's blade mode, this slow-mation feature that lets you aim your cuts and slice enemies to pieces however you want. Like, you can literally cut a guy into 50 clean slices if you feel like it. Combat is fast. You're zipping across the battlefield, dodging hits, parrying bullets with your sword, yes, seriously, and pulling off combos that make you feel like an anime boss. The parry system takes a little getting used to, but once it clicks, it's super satisfying. You're not blocking, you're deflecting at the last second and punishing them hard. Every fight feels like a big moment. Even regular enemies come at you with style. And the bosses? They're absolutely nuts. Each one has insane design, ridiculous voice lines, and music that just hits when the fight ramps up. Speaking of music, this game has one of the best action game soundtracks ever. The songs build up with the fight and go full vocal when things get crazy. It hypes you up, and the way it's timed with gameplay is just perfection. It's also not a super long game, maybe 6 to 8 hours, but that's what makes it replayable. You can go back, try harder difficulties, master the combos, or just re-experience the boss fights because they're that good. God of War 3. You're Kratos, angry, brutal, and not here to talk things out. From the opening scene, you're literally climbing Mount Olympus on the back of a giant titan while fighting gods. No slow intro, no warm-up. The game just throws you into the chaos and never really stops. It's loud, violent, and epic all the way. The combat is straight up tight, hack and slash action. You got your Blades of Exile, and they feel amazing to use. Long-range, fast swings that keep you moving from enemy to enemy with no downtime. And as you go, you unlock more weapons and magic powers. Each one has its own style, and it never gets boring. The game constantly throws new stuff at you, giant bosses, crazy arenas, enemy waves, and it's all fast, fluid, and smooth. And dude, the finishers in this game are brutal. You're ripping off heads, tearing out guts, smashing faces into the floor. It's not just violent for shock, it's part of the whole vibe. You're a one-man army taking down literal gods, and the game makes sure you feel the weight and rage behind every hit. The boss fights are some of the best in any action game. You're going toe-to-toe with Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, all of them. And they're huge, cinematic fights with wild camera angles and intense moments. You're not just slashing at legs, you're jumping on their backs, dodging giant fists, stabbing glowing weak spots. The scale is insane, but it never feels like the game loses control. It's all tight and focused. Killer is dead. You play as Mondo Zappa, a super chill, katana-wielding assassin who works for some kind of government-run killer agency. Don't worry about the logic, cause the game sure doesn't. The plot goes all over the place. One minute you're fighting a Yakuza dude on the moon, the next you're slicing through nightmare creatures in some trippy dream world. But honestly, you're not here for the story. You're here to look cool and slash stuff up, and this game's got that in spades. Combat is fast and clean. You've got your katana for slicing, and Mondo's left arm can transform into a gun, drill, or even a giant fist depending on the upgrades you unlock. You're dodging, parrying, and stringing together fast combos that feel smooth as hell. And when you land a perfect dodge, time slows down and you can chain a bunch of free hits like a badass. That part never gets old. The style is what makes it really stand out. The whole game has this sharp, high contrast art look, almost like an anime comic book mixed with noir vibes. It's flashy as hell, blood sprays across the screen, enemies burst into pieces, and everything feels like it's designed to make you feel cool while you're fighting. It's got that Suda 51 energy, super offbeat, super artsy, but fun to watch. Oh yeah, it's got some weird stuff too, like the gigolo missions where you go on awkward dates with women using x-ray glasses to impress them. It's totally tone shifty and kinda cringe today, but it's part of the strange charm of the game. You can skip it though, it's optional. It's not the longest game and it's not super deep, but that's kind of the point. It's a short, punchy, over-the-top hack and slash ride with cool boss fights, weird characters, and a strong style that no other game really copies. Let it die. It's kind of like if a hack and slash game got dropped in a twisted game show hosted by a half-naked skateboarding Grim Reaper. Yeah, that's the energy here. It's goofy, violent, hard as hell, and somehow still super fun if you're down for something different. So here's the deal. The world's gone to hell, and this giant tower shows up out of nowhere. You play as a random nobody in their underwear, and your goal is simple: climb the tower and try not to die. But you will die. A lot. That's part of the whole thing. The combat's real gritty. It's melee focused, so you're swinging pipes, machetes, swords, axes, and even weird stuff like irons or umbrellas. And every weapon breaks eventually, so you're always swapping gear and making do with whatever you find. There's no flashy combos or stylish flips like in Devil May Cry. It's more raw and scrappy. You time your hits, dodge, block, and try not to get ganged up on. When it clicks though, it's tense and super satisfying. What makes it cool is that every death matters. If you die, your character turns into an enemy that lives in the tower, and you gotta go back with a new fighter to take them out and get your stuff back. It's got that roguelike flavor where you slowly get better, learn enemy patterns, and make smarter choices. The game really rewards patience and skill, and yeah, the whole vibe is just bonkers. You've got this Grim Reaper dude named Uncle Death who rides a skateboard and gives you tips in between fights. The menus look like something out of a punk zine. The enemies are weird mutants and masked freaks. The tower power gets darker and more disturbing the higher you go. It's got that gross, edgy charm that feels like a mix of grindhouse movie and arcade madness. Fury Unleashed. This one's kind of slept on, but it's actually a super fun, fast-paced hack and slash meets shooter mashup that plays like an old school comic book come to life. If you're into tight action, combos, and blowing through enemies nonstop, this one's worth a look for sure. You're basically this badass comic book hero who's fighting through the panels of a living comic. Each level is designed like a comic page, and you literally move from panel to panel, fighting, dodging, jumping, and slashing your way through it all. And it's got this 2D side-scrolling gameplay, but the pace is fast and super satisfying. You've got melee weapons like swords and chainsaws for up-close damage, and guns for blasting stuff from a distance, and switching between them on the fly, smooth as hell. The combat is where this thing really shines. You chain kills together into combos, and the better your combo, the stronger you get. Like, you start healing faster, getting more drops, or just dishing out more damage if you don't get hit. So the game pushes you to play aggressive, stay moving, and go for those high streaks. It's got that arcade vibe, where you're always in the zone, just trying to keep the rhythm going. Ultra Age. Now this one flew under the radar for a lot of folks, but if you're into pure hack and slash action, this game absolutely scratches that itch. It ain't trying to be deep or complicated, it just throws you into fights and says go wild with your sword. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it fun. You play as Age, this futuristic swordsman dude in a post-apocalyptic world full of robots and mutants. The story, kinda basic, some world-ending stuff happened, humanity's in danger, blah blah, but really, the story's just an excuse to give you a bunch of sick weapons and send you off to fight fast-paced battles in flashy arenas. Now the combat, that's where Ultra Age shines. It's fast, smooth, and all about switching swords on the fly. You've got multiple blades, each with their own style. One's fast and light for quick combos. Another hits hard and breaks armor. There's even one that pulls enemies toward you like a whip, and you can swap between all of them mid-fight, like mid-combo, which feels super satisfying when you're juggling enemies in the air or canceling attacks to keep the pressure up. Fury. If you're into boss fights, tight controls, and that mix of hack and slash plus bullet hell madness, it's not your usual slash through 100 grunts kind of game. Fury is all about one thing, one-on-one battles that feel like a duel every single time. You play as this silent warrior dude. All you know is you are locked up in some sci-fi prison and now you're busting out. But to escape, you gotta take down a lineup of bosses, each one guarding a different level of the prison. And these bosses, they don't mess around. Every fight is like its own little game with unique mechanics, attack patterns, and rhythm. One's a sniper, another's a blade master, one even messes with your mind. No two are the same. Combat in Fury is fast and sharp. You've got a sword for close range slicing, a gun for long distance shooting, and a super slick dash for dodging. You can parry attacks, reflect projectiles, and counter right after to land a heavy hit. The controls are super responsive, like you press a button and it happens instantly. There's no delay, no fluff, just clean combat where skill actually matters. Darksiders Genesis. This one's a little different from the main Darksiders games, but honestly, it's still super fun, especially if you're into hack and slash with co-op vibes and that top-down action-packed style. So in this one, you're not playing as War or Death like before. Well, actually, you are playing as War, but also Strife, who's the new horseman in the crew. And the coolest part, you can switch between them at any time if you're playing solo, or you can play co-op and each take a character. War is the heavy hitter with that classic big sword and brute force playstyle. Strife, on the other hand, is all about dual pistols, faster movement, and slick combos. Total opposites, but it works. Combat is clean and super satisfying. You're slashing, shooting, dodging, and popping off abilities constantly. Strife's guns feel buttery smooth, and you can upgrade them with different ammo types. War is more of that traditional Darksiders melee, big swings, knockbacks, and heavy damage, and switching between the two mid-fight, it keeps things fast and never boring. It's got RPG-style progression too. You collect creature cores from enemies and bosses and slot them into a grid to buff your stats or give you new perks. Some cores give you lifesteal, others boost your damage or make enemies drop more health. It's kind of like building your loadout based on how you like to fight. You're constantly tweaking and improving, which gives it a bit more depth than it looks at first glance. Mitsurugi, Kamui, Hikae. Now this one's pretty simple and low budget, but if you're in the mood for pure arcade-style hack-and-slash action, it actually gets the job done better than you'd expect. You play as a sword-wielding schoolgirl named Misa, who's basically trying to stop her best friend from going full demon mode. That's about it for story, no long cutscenes or big lore dumps. The game just throws you into battle and lets the combat do the talking. Combat is once again where the game shines like all others. It's fast, smooth, and really clean for a budget title. You've got your basic slashes, combos, launches, and a cool counter system. There's also this energy wave move you can charge up, which adds some nice variety. The game keeps it focused. No fluff, no wasted time. It's just you versus waves of enemies in tight arenas. There's also a skill system, so between fights, you're spending points to unlock new combos and buffs. You start simple, but by the end, you're pulling off flashy sword moves, dashing around, parrying hits, and juggling enemies like a boss. If you've played stuff like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, you'll feel right at home. It's got that same flow, just on a smaller scale. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
The darkness is so thick I can taste.
You play as Jack, this dude who's just mad all the time and wants to kill chaos. That's basically the story for the first chunk of the game. It sounds dumb at first, and yeah, it kinda is, but it grows on you. Under all that edge and nonsense, there's actually a cool reimagining of the first Final Fantasy game, just flipped into a full-on action RPG. You've got real-time, fast-paced combat that feels like Neo meets Devil May Cry, but with a Final Fantasy twist. You're switching between jobs like warrior, mage, monk, samurai, all mid-fight, and each job has its own skills, playstyle, and gear. You can straight up be a dual sword ninja 1 minute, then swap to a black mage and start throwing fireballs the next. The combos are punchy, the dodging and parrying feel tight, and the soul burst mechanic where you finish enemies off with a flashy red crystal smash never gets old. It's not just for show either, it gives you MP back and boosts your flow in combat, so you're encouraged to keep the pressure up. This game really pushes you to stay aggressive. There's also a lot of depth with builds and gear. You're constantly collecting new weapons and armor, and each one affects your stats, resistances, and passive bonuses. It's loot heavy like a dungeon crawler, but it's easy to manage and doesn't get too annoying. The level design isn't super open, but each area is themed around older Final Fantasy games, like you'll notice familiar music tracks or enemy designs if you're a longtime fan. It's kinda cool seeing these old school FF nods remixed into wild action zones. Plus the bosses can be real tough. They don't hold back, and if you're not paying attention, they'll wipe you out fast.